Oh, Apple, you've done it again. Another year, another iPad, another round of subtle but not so subtle upgrades that have us all thinking, is this the one to buy? Which, by the way, in this case, spoiler alert, truly might be. It might actually be the one to buy. Welcome back, folks. This here is Apple's latest attempt at making a, open quote, an affordable iPad. Yes, air quotes very much intended here. This is the 11th generation entry-level iPad, a device that's supposed to be the sweet spot between price and performance. And at first glance, it looks like the exact same iPad they released a couple of years ago, that was. But don't let the familiar packaging fool you, though. There's actually more happening here than meets the eye. Is this the budget-friendly iPad we've all been looking forward to? Or is this just another way for Apple to keep milking the regular iPad cow or iPad lineup? Now, to answer that, first things first, the design. As I mentioned already, this is exactly the same device we saw in the last generation, except for a couple of things. In fact, the unboxing experience is literally the same, all the way down to that warm feeling you get when you see that they still include the power adapter. It's a 20-watt charger here with a braided cable. You know, I've had a few of these so far, but small victories, folks. That's, you know, the little things. That's really good stuff, right? Anyways, if, however, you were hoping for a radical new design, first of all, why? Why would you? It's Apple. But second, you are out of luck because it's the same aluminum frame and build, same button placement, and even the same color lineup. The blue, which is the one that I have here, the pink, yellow, and silver. My unit here is accompanied with 128 gigs of internal storage. It feels just as much of a solid build as before, but still, no design revolution here. Volume rocker on the right, power button with Touch ID at the top, speakers at the bottom with a USB Type-C port, you know, the usual stuff. And if you squint just about right, you probably noticed the pogo pins for attaching accessories. Everything is exactly where you left it before. It's boasting that same 10.9-inch liquid retina display, which looks good for something in the budget category. It's bright and very much an iPad screen. Same resolution and PPI as before, all the way to the fact that it still is not a laminated display. It's not laminated, meaning the small air gap between the top here and the panel at the bottom is still there. If you look for it, you'll find it. And on a personal level, it's been affecting my user experience. Likely because, you know, all of my tablets, I would say, have laminated displays. And also the fact that I've just never been a fan of it. And to those of you who will be using this thing outside or under bright lights, definitely expect reflection. Like, you know, lots of them. And by the way, this whole thing, this is something that Apple can easily fix. I'm not sure why they won't fix this display and just laminate it, especially at this price point. And speaking of price, if you remember the 10th generation of the iPad lineup here, you might recall that Apple had the audacity to price that one at $449, which was a pretty tough pill to swallow, especially considering that at the time, the still available 9th gen was a much better deal. I've actually made a bunch of videos on that. Now that said, you'll be happy to know that the price for this 11th gen model was rolled back, rightfully so, to the initial $349, like, you know, prior to the 10th gen, which is one of the reasons this tablet is actually great value when compared. Keep in mind, by the way, that there is Apple Pencil support here, but you have to pay extra for that particular accessory. This is also compatible with the Apple 1st gen, you know, the one that has a very weird way of charging. Alternatively, Apple now sells the USB-C Apple Pencil, which magnetically attaches but does not support pressure sensitivity. So if you're an artist, this might not be your best bet. And by the way, if this is your first time visiting, welcome to the channel, of course. Please do me a favor, hit both the like and the subscribe button there. I truly appreciate it. All right, so that was design, display, and price. Now let's jump into specs and performance, since that is kind of the main new thing here. I may have mentioned this, but the good thing with this is that you're getting more storage as a baseline. Apple finally ditched that laughably low 64 gigs base storage that was non-expandable. Now you're getting 128 gigs by default. If you've ever tried to install more than a few apps and a couple of streaming downloads on an old 64 gigs iPad, you know exactly just how frustrating it is to have to choose what to delete and what to keep. So this baseline at 128 gigs is a big deal. As a matter of fact, you might run into some deals that are going for the 10th gen 64 gigs cheaper. Make sure you do your calculation, because it might be better. You might be better off picking up the baseline, paying a little bit more, on top of that 10th gen, and getting the 128 gigs iPad that comes with a newer chip and a more powerful chip. So think about it before pulling the trigger. But anyways, I was talking performance bump. Powering this year's iPad is the A16 Bionic chip, right? Which is a solid step up from the A14 in the 10th gen model. More importantly, Apple bumped the RAM from 4 to 6 gigs, which means fewer app reloads and a generally smoother multitasking experience. My user experience over the past week so far, since I bought this, well over a week, maybe a couple of days over a week, has been actually impressive for something that is budget. But, I shouldn't be surprised. Generally, budget iPads still do pretty well for the type of category that they're supposed to be in. For everyday stuff, if you are like most people and plan to use this iPad for things like, streaming, web browsing, and some light and even medium productivity, this one is great. The A16 chip is more than capable, and iPadOS here is pretty smooth as well. And thanks to the extra RAM, switching between apps feels noticeably snappier. If you like to keep a bunch of things open at once, this tablet actually flows pretty seamlessly through all of it. Again, I've been pretty impressed with overall performance on this budget tablet. As far as gaming goes, it's been fantastic for light to medium games. I've tested heavier or even more demanding games here, including Genshin Impact, and yeah, I was forced to lower some of the settings on the heavy games. It does hold, slightly lower FPS in most cases, so it's not exactly super buttery smooth under pressure. So if you're a gamer and low FPS is a deal breaker for you, well, Apple has an iPad Air they would like to sell you. Although that one is stuck at 60 Hertz. That's another situation there, but I digress here. Consuming media, watching movies, videos, all that good stuff has been good here. But as I mentioned, that non-laminated display just irks me, which I attribute to the fact that every single tablet that I own, I mentioned already, it's a flagship or non-flagship even, Android tablet, are all laminated. They all have laminated displays. Now, moving on to battery here, Apple claims the same 10-hour battery life as before. And in my experience, using this over the past week, I'd say they're right. If you use it casually, you could definitely hit that mark, right? But this is subjective. I always say it. I'm always gonna say it because it depends on how you use your tablet. You might see more, you might see less. If you're just emailing, a little bit of videos or browsing, it probably will last the whole day. Gaming obviously would drain the battery faster, but overall it holds up pretty well. Now, with all of this said, here's my take. The new iPad, the 11th gen iPad here, isn't exciting at first glance, right? It's not a game changer at all. It's not going to wow you with groundbreaking features, but at $349 or $350, it doesn't really need to, right? For what it is, at $350, it's actually a great deal, and I definitely recommend this, especially when you consider performance. I would recommend this to students and or people upgrading from a couple or more generations and who are looking for a solid entry-level iPad that offers solid performance, I should say, great battery, and compatibility to other Apple accessories and devices, including, the Apple Pencil. So it's definitely a go for me. I recommend it. This is just my take. I'm certainly hoping that this was informative. What is your take on this? Let me know in the comment section. Are you in the market for one like this? Let me know. Are you looking for something different? I might be able to recommend something like this particular one, something else. Let me know in the comment section. I'd love to catch you in there like I always do. Oh, by the way, as I mentioned, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the fantastic videos that I drop here. All right, I'm going to catch you in the comment section. Make sure to share the video. If you know anyone who'll be interested, make sure to like also if you haven't done so. I'm going to catch you in the next video. Up until that next video, of course, as always, stay safe out there.